1/16 of a mile at Churchill Downs. They're off and running. Broken a fairly good line, although no speed in the early part. Velvet Haze coming out quickly on the outside. Little Charmer looks keen to lead for the young rider Recoil, and he goes to the front. Up in second spot as a reverse merger. Third, the Rail Quencho. Outside of him then is Thaddeus, and about 2 or 3 lengths back at the tail of the field, Velvet Haze. Reverse merger, the fancied runner. He burrowed through on the inside and he took a narrow lead from Little Charmer. They cut away by 4 and 5 lengths. In third spot, Quencho, and he's under a ride, Quencho, being joined then by Velvet Haze and Thaddeus as they run down the side around 7:50 to travel. Up front it is Reverse Merger in second spot, and hard ridden now Little Charmer, and they've cut right away from the rest. The rest are headed then by, on the outside is Velvet Haze, and then came Quencho in the straight. They run to the 250. This is looking pretty good. Reverse Merger, he's out with a big lead, 3 and 4 lengths as they run inside the 200 metres, followed then by running on just fairly well Quencho, Little Charmer, and then Velvet Haze. But have a look at Reverse Merger go right down to the line, and he wins in a hand counter by 7. Second Quencho, third Velvet Haze, Little Charmer. To the gates, off and running now, and very slow into stride, justifiably so. He's missed it by 4 and 5 lengths. Coming out very quickly, Phone Trick is going to lead Tuscany's Eagle on, settling down from Moon Alphabet, striding forward Concrete Solution, and then came Slam Dunk, justifiably so. He blew it all at the start, and he's about 10 to 12 lengths off the lead as they run towards the 800 metres, and Phone Trick shot away, leads by 3 and 4 lengths. In second spot is Tuscany's Eagle, creeping a little closer, then Concrete Solution. Then came Moon Alphabet, Slam Dunk, and a long way back then was Justifiably So, still about 12 lengths off the lead as they run down the side towards the home turn. Phone Trick still travelling well, a length in advance, getting closer. Tuscany's Eagle, and 3 deep the outside is Concrete Solution. They cut away with a big margin. Heading the rest is Justifiably So. He's made up a lot of ground, and then came Moon Alphabet, Slam Dunk. They're in the straight. Phone Trick, he's trying to lead all of the way. Phone Trick at the 200, a length in advance of Tuscany's Eagle, trying hard to get on terms with him. It's still in front, Phone Trick. Tuscany's Eagle getting the upper hand close to home, and he raced away. Tuscany's Eagle has beaten Phone Trick. Third is going to be Concrete Solution, Justifiably So. Not a bad run after a bad get. With Millennia wide out, they're off and running, and caught it okay, Millennia, after all that. Away very quickly off the inside was Lily Bill. Brown Missile was quickly into stride as they settle down, and it is taking up the running, Millennia, from Lily Bill. Brown Missile's up to third, followed then by a good way back behind them then was Bill Tuner, and back near the tail of the field, Keynote Speaker Senor Ibarra, running towards the 800 metres, and up front on the inside it is Millennia, the grey Millennia, leading narrowly on the outside. Brown Missile about 2 or 3 lengths back then to Lily Bell, followed then by Bill Tuner, and then came Senor Ibarra, and just ahead of Senor Ibarra was Keynote Speaker as they run towards the home turn. Millennia travelling well, but eyeballing on the outside is going to be Brown Missile, who has a narrow lead, getting closer than Lily Bell, followed then by Bill Tuner, and then came over on the inside Keynote Speaker. They're in the straight, running to the 250. Millennia in front, taken on by Brown Missile on the outside, who has a narrow lead. Millennia won't lie down, fighting back on the inside. Millennia, Brown Missile with a narrow lead, starts to edge away near home. Brown Missile in front, he's going to hold on, and he beats Millennia. Third is very close on the inside, Bill Tuner or Lily Bill. That's a photo. off and running, and very slow into stride, was laughing inside. He's missed it by 3 and 4 lengths. Coming out very quickly in the early part was Bright Mind, and Bright Mind is going to sail to the lead on settling down. In second spot, Sinag. Back to third is Go G Go. Then came on the outside of them Advocacy. Navy Cut's a long way back with Laughing Inside, and also Jewel of the Nile is a long way back in the run as they go towards that 800-metre corner. Up front, it's Bright Mind. He's away from the rail. On the inside, Sinag travels well, getting to the outside and making some ground. Advocacy. Then came pushed along was Go G Go. Laughing Inside was next. Jewel of the Nile spots them 7 and 8 lengths as they run to the corner, and Navy Cut back at the tail of the field on towards the home turn. On the outside, Bright Mind looks to be travelling a bit the better. On the inside, Sinag, and then coming at them on the outside, Advocacy. Very wide, then Go G Go. Jewel of the Nile looking to find space, and he's got room to move now. The 200 metres, Bright Mind still in front. Advocacy on the outside, going out after Bright Mind. Jewel of the Nile starting to wind up late. He's coming with a rush, Jewel of the Nile, and he swept right on by them. Jewel of the Nile races down to the wire, wins by 2 in the finish. Second, Advocacy. Go G Go third. Then came Sinag, followed by Bright Mind, who weakened away. Contest at 1200 metres off and running, and slow into stride was Instant Notice. Not so in the early part. King Hans, and he came out running. King Hans, he's got a lap full of horse travelling sweetly as they settle into stride. He leads from Queen Gabi. Up to third then was Azentado, followed by Antonio de la Mugas. Then came Viva de Oro. At the tail of the field is Instant Notice. Around about 850 to travel, and taking the lead away, King Hans. In second spot, we've got Queen Gabi, who's almost on terms with him now. 4 or 5 back, then Viva de Oro. Then came Azentado, and next was Instant Notice. Antonio de la Mugas is back with him as they run down the side towards the home turn. On the inside, Queen Gabi. The outside is King Hans, and they're about 3 and 4 lengths in advance of getting a bit closer. Then was Viva de Oro. Over on the inside, Azentado, and then came Instant Touch around the bend for home. And on the inside, it's Queen Gabi. Queen Gabi kicked away more than a length in advance. King Hans running on fairly well over on the inside, Azentado, and then came Viva de Oro at the 200 metres, though well clear. Queen Gabi, she's got a big margin. Paddy Dilemma, Queen Gabi, they're about 5 in advance of running on fairly well. For second is Viva de Oro, and then came Instant Notice, followed by Azentado, pulling up quickly. The field once more, they're off and running, left in a pretty good line after all that, and coming out very quickly. Mom Gem showing good speed. Quite Thunder though burning through on the inside. He's going to take up the running. Quite Thunder leading Mom Gem. Bidding up on the inside of them was Old Forest in the similar colours to Quite Thunder. Striding forward then Lucky Fortune, followed then by back near the tail of the field is Sovereign Red with Song of G, and Brainchild is at the tail of the field as they run down the side. They've got about 850 to travel, and the stablemates here going together. On the outside, it's Quite Thunder. Leading on the inside, Old Forest. And Lucky Fortune making a line of 3. Followed then by a couple off them, Mom Gem. Then came a Song for G. Sovereign Red. You can forget about Brainchild, who's a long way back as they run down the side. Around 650 to go. Taking up the running now is Lucky Fortune. He's done a bit of work. He's been 3 and 4 deep, but he straightens up with a narrow lead. Kicking back on the inside is going to be Old Forest, and still there Quite Thunder. Running on fairly well in the centre of the track is Mom Gem at the 200 metres. Lucky Fortune in front. There doesn't look to be much there, but he clings to a slender lead. Mom Gem in the centre of the track is making a run of it. Mom Gem racing up on the outside of Lucky Fortune. Lucky Fortune in front. Can he hold on? Yes, Lucky Fortune beats Mom Gem. Third is Song for G, or over on the inside was Old Forest. Now, they're not happy with one. They are now, though. Polite Bill, look, might have been squeezed out at the start, but was badly away. Coming out very quickly, Doña Patsy is going to lead on, settling down. Copperfield wide out, comes across, sits in second spot. Third, the rail with the run of the race. Then Queen Ella, followed by Polite Bill. And then came A Man's a Man, who's back near the tail of the field. As they run down the side, though, it is Doña Patsy, 2 in advance, Copperfield. Queen Ella to third, Polite Bill. About 4 or 5 back then to A Man's a Man. 911 is back at the tail of the field, and he must be 15 lengths off them as they roll down the side. Around about 700 metres to travel. Doña Patsy in front and travelling well with about a 4-length margin over Copperfield. Hustled up Polite Bill. Queen Ella not going well at the moment, about 5 and 6 lengths off them and under the stick, followed by A Man's a Man. 911 around the bend for home. Doña Patsy still running strongly. Doña Patsy at the 250, away by 3. Copperfield is going back toward the inside, running on just fairly. Polite Bill in the centre. Doña Patsy says goodbye. Good night, Irene. Doña Patsy's going to run away with the last and win by 7 and 8 lengths. Second, Polite Bill. Third is going to be 911, who made up a lot of ground late. And then came Queen Ella. Then came Copperfield.